Recording. Thank you. Can I welcome all members and officers to the meeting of the Council, which has been convened as a hybrid meeting. The meeting is being recorded live and the meeting agenda pack can be viewed on the Council's website. Everyone participating in the meeting will be attending either in the Council chamber or from remote locations. Members attending remotely must keep their cameras on for the duration of the meeting. However, all attendees should keep their microphones off until invited to speak. Members and officers can indicate they want to speak by pressing the hands up icon. In the event of any vote, the Democratic Services Manager will call out the names of the members who will then cast their vote for or against. I will now proceed to agenda business. Apologies for absence. I have Councillor Richard Williams and Councillor Stephen Bledsoe. That could be a bonus for some people.
Bottom right.
Yes, I'm there.
She should be the speaker.
I'm not shown as the speaker. Is that okay? It's been handled. I could see that, yeah. Councillor Ross Thomas, please.
Diolch, Madam Mayor. Councillor Malcolm James has just told me he's having difficulties accessing the meeting, so he's hoping to be with us. I'm not sure if he needs any IT support.
Thank you. Councillor Heidi Bennett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Apologies from Councillor Max Lewis.
Thank you. Councillor Alex Williams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Philip Jenkins.
Thank you. Councillor Zach. Oh, sorry, Councillor Zach. Zach Shell. Sorry, beg your pardon.
Well, I've been promoted then. No, apologies for Janine Nightingale, Corporate Director Communities. I'm standing in today.
Thank you, Zach. Councillor Simon Griffiths.
Apologies, I may have to leave at just before 6 o'clock for a private engagement.
Hopefully we won't be here, Simon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that all, everybody? Yes, sorry, Councillor Ian Williams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Steve Bledsoe was attending his father, elderly father, who's had a puncture. So he was intending to be here. I think he's just been delayed, so he will be turning up later.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay. Are there any declarations of interest, please? Personal or prejudicial? Councillor Elaine Winstanley.
Sorry, I've got a declaration of interest in the item 6, the corporate plan, under wellbeing objective 1, the aim of providing opportunities for culture, leisure and playlists. Several projects of which I'm involved through my work with Arwen Culture Trust are mentioned in the projects being developed, such as the Grand Pavilion, Food and Fun, developing the Libraries Culture and Community Hub strategy and maintaining performance against Welsh Public Library standards. A personal interest. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winstanley. Thank you. We go on to item 3, approval of minutes. To receive for approval the minutes of the Council dated the 26th of Feb and the 12th of March 2025. Can I have a mover and seconder, please? All agreed? Aye. Yes, thank you. To receive the announcements from myself as Mayor. Quite a busy month last month. I attended the Trefoil Guild in Heronston. I was very interested. I was up in my stake for a 65th Sapphire wedding anniversary of Bill and Jill John. I went to the piano shed with Louise Williams. In my stake was the highest percentage pass rate in Wales, which I think is no mean feat. I then went on to present Stephen Jones from Garth for his fantastic work he does in looking after the gardens there. Neil Minchingston, he's raised so much money and he was charming. So it was a pleasure to greet him in the parlour. And then we come on to present music services in CCYD, where I was faced with 96 children. And I did actually conduct them, and it was fantastic. Very well. It's so proud when I saw all those children there. I've been to my stake town hall for the 15th anniversary of Boys Coedre Hen. Then last week I went to Archbishop McGrath for an Air Force Cadets presentation. Then last week we were down in Porthcawl, very windy on Cozy Corner. Some of us did manage to get into the whale, others didn't. And then I had a charity concert last week up in Pontycymru when Pen Bond Mill Boys Choir attended, and I managed to raise just over £500. So the fund is still open, so if you've got any shekels in the bottom of your pockets, it's open till end of May when I finish, so I'm still available to give donations. Then I went to Kenfig Brownies Award, which was very good. Hugh did manage to get down with the brownies, and we did sing a couple of songs. And then this morning I went to McDonald's opening in MacArthur's Glen. Fantastic facility there. Employment there is, over 60 people have been employed in the borough, so it's very, very good. And when I've left to last, I managed to meet Mr. Neville Granville of Kevin, who is Mr. Kevin Cribbo, an amazing man who's written 4 or 5 books, I think, he was a fount of knowledge, and without him, a lot of the historic monuments in Kevin Cribbo wouldn't be recognised. So that's all. Thank you. And I'll go over to the Chief Executive, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Members, I have 2 relatively short announcements. The first is that the next phase of the Bus Services Wales Bill has been introduced at the Senedd this month, and although it will probably take several years before it comes into effect, I want to draw members' attention towards it as it changes and the changes it proposes could have very far-reaching consequences. In effect, the bill intends to re-establish how public transport is provided across Wales by planning services at a national level and franchising them out to local operators on a one network, one ticket and one timetable basis. This will be delivered through Transport for Wales, working in close collaboration with local authorities and corporate joint committees, and we've already had a couple of meetings with Transport for Wales with regard to this, with the franchise contracts taken up by private, third and public sector operators. It's very similar to how public transport is currently organised in the UK's capital by Transport for London, and franchises are also in the process of being introduced in UK cities such as Manchester. While latest information has placed costs for the scheme at around 623 million spread over 30 years, it should also be remembered that Welsh Government has spent around 600 million on bus passes and subsidies between 2021 and 2026. Under current plans, the new scheme will be rolled out across South West Wales in 2027, North Wales in 2028, South East Wales in 2029 and Mid Wales in 2030. There's clearly still a great deal of work to complete before any of this becomes a reality, and members will of course receive further updates as the bill progresses. My other announcement, which I think is of local interest, concerns moves to ban single-use vapes across the UK. Because vapes are by nature an electrical device and are also relatively new, laws and rules governing their use and disposal have been introduced. As a result, there is just 2 months left to go before the sale or supply of single-use vape products is prohibited within the UK. Due to begin on the 1st of June 2025, the ban applies to single-use vapes irrespective of whether they contain nicotine or not. All businesses selling vape will require a take-back recycling service where customers can return the product and its component parts. They will also need to provide vape bins where old, spent or broken vapes can be deposited for processing. Before the ban begins, work has been taking place both to encourage people to quit vaping or smoking and also to encourage local businesses to switch over to reusable vape products well in advance of the new rules. This initial legislation will help combat the new litter and waste problem posed by disposable vapes, and members may wish to help spread awareness about this within local wards. To support this move, a guide for businesses has been produced and is available at the gov.wales website. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I'll now go on to number 5, receive announcements by the leader. Leader, please.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. Hope you can hear me okay.
Yes, fine.
So members be aware that earlier in the year, the Council unanimously supported a motion put forward by Councillor Heidi Bennett to oppose the proposed closure of Crown Post Offices by Post Office Limited. At the time, we described the proposals as being an unwarranted attack on public services, jobs and the communities that depend on them, and agreed to formally mark our opposition to the project. This week, we have received a further update from Post Office Limited confirming they've completed their consultation process over the proposals. Subject to government funding being in place and following careful analysis of the feedback, they have confirmed that they intend to move ahead and establish a fully franchise network of post offices. As part of this, they will be seeking to offload 108 Crown branches, which are directly owned and run by the company. While this announcement serves to clarify the overall strategic direction that Post Office Limited is heading, a second stage has also been confirmed in which they will work alongside prospective franchise partners, postmasters and local councils to determine the most appropriate solution for each location. However, as a Bridgend Town Centre branch located in Dunriblis does not currently feature on the list of branches marked for closure, we will be seeking further clarification from Post Office Limited regarding the future of the Dunraven Place branch. We will also be reiterating our opposition to closure and remind them about the potential implications not just for staff and customers but for the wider community as well. Post Office Limited have already stated that they will be in touch soon to discuss the matter further, so we'll of course keep you fully updated on how this develops in due course. In other news, members will be aware that for some time now, work has been taking place to encourage eligible residents to claim pension credit, which they may not realise they're entitled to. This is because the Older People's Commissioner highlighted in November 22 that up to 80,000 eligible older people in Wales were not in receipt of this benefit. The Bridgend County Borough will work alongside partner agencies on a regional Cwm Taf Morgannwg basis to target around 7,000 people. As it's worth an average of extra £65 a week and can unlock other entitlements and financial support, pension credit can provide extra money to help older people afford to heat their homes during the winter period. When you consider that nearly 1 in 5 older individuals in Wales are living in poverty and that the NHS spends an estimated £1.4 billion every year on treating illnesses linked to living in cold or damp housing, the benefits of encouraging greater take-up become obvious. The collaboration between partner agencies throughout Cwm Taf Morgannwg has so far reached around 6,768 eligible people. To date, more than 1,890 people have been assessed and supported, and with further assessments currently being processed, the partnership effort is proving to be highly successful. So efforts to encourage take-up are continuing, and members can support this by making local constituents aware of the pension credit scheme. And more details can be found by visiting pension credits page at gov.uk. Finally, Madam Mayor, this month saw Welsh Government formally launch a new rating system for our care homes and care services will be inspected across Wales in future. And from 1st of April, inspections carried out by Care Inspectorate Wales will focus upon the themes of well-being, care and support, environment, and leadership and management, resulting in ratings of either excellent, good, requires improvement, or requires significant improvement. Against this backdrop, it's encouraging to note that the report considered at yesterday's Cabinet meeting has highlighted almost all of our council-run care homes and care services have secured strong ratings of either excellent or good for the period between 24 and 25. No notices requiring urgent action have been issued, and while the inspector said that improvement was required in 2 of the categories for TN and Sowdra, work is already taking place to address this. In arriving at the ratings, the inspectors reviewed a wide range of information ranging from policies, written guides, complaint details and incident accounts to supervision and training data, safeguarding referrals, quality assurance reports and more. This is a really solid result for BCBC, and thanks are due to all of our social care staff for their hard work and ongoing commitment. And more information about the new rating system can be found on the Care Inspectorate Wales website. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Number 6, we'll go on to the corporate plan review for 2025-26. I will now ask the Chief Officer, Legal, HR and Corporate Policy to present the report. Kelly, please. Oh, Alex, sorry, I beg your pardon.
Thank you. For the record, I'm Alex Rawling, Corporate Policy and Performance Manager. The report in front of you outlines an updated corporate plan delivery plan for 2025-26. As you know, you've adopted a 5-year corporate plan for 2023 to 28. It doesn't include detailed information on projects or performance indicators. Instead, each year we develop a one-year delivery plan based on our priorities and operating environment and the Council's agreed budget. In early January, we commenced a review of what worked well and what didn't work so well in the delivery plan for 2024-25. Performance reporting for the year that's just completed has been challenging, and officers and members alike, including scrutiny committees, have all agreed that the current plan is too large, imbalanced both by priority and by directorate, and insufficiently focused on priorities. We clearly need to balance that need for change with some continuity, sufficient continuity of PIs and commitments so that we're able to see progress and direction of travel of the Council over time. And I hope what's in front of you gets that balance right. In January 2025, CMB agreed some principles for the review of the plan, which were to create a smaller, more focused delivery plan, increase the focus on genuine corporate priorities. We would test each part of the corporate plan, delivery plan, to test where the work is completed or outside the Council's control. PIs and commitments duplicate each other. The work is unfunded or unstaffed. It's proving difficult to evidence, or where officers and members had already agreed that it wasn't a priority. In February, Directorate management teams reviewed the wellbeing objectives, aims, PIs and commitments against those principles. The product of this exercise was a significantly reduced corporate plan delivery plan, which is included in Appendix 1. In this, the wellbeing objectives are reduced from 7 to 4, with some merged or subsumed into others. The 4 that remain focus on a prosperous place with thriving communities, developing modern, seamless public services, enabling people to meet their potential, and supporting our most vulnerable people. As members requested last year, key measures of the Council's ways of working have been integrated into the wellbeing objective focused on the future organisation. Aims are reduced from 41 to 21, PIs are reduced from 108 to 65, and commitments from 80 to 61. On the 19th of February, Heads of Service and CMB met together to test the balance of the corporate plan delivery plan, reduce duplication and fill any gaps. Then on the 4th of March, CCMB considered the proposed delivery plan and made some changes which are included in the version in front of you. They're also particularly keen for us to work on summarising the 4 wellbeing objectives in a more memorisable form so that members and staff can remember them more easily. And we'll work on that in coming weeks if Council endorse the content of the report. Finally then, on the 17th of March, Corporate Overview and Scrutiny Committee considered the proposed plan and made some changes that are included in the version in front of you, with the exception of the one I outline in paragraph 3.2. Overall, we believe the updated corporate plan delivery plan is improved in the following ways. There's a shorter, clearer set of priorities that focuses on genuine priorities that are resourced within the Council's control and able to be evidenced each quarter or year. It's more balanced with similarly sized wellbeing objectives and aims and similarly sized contributions from each directorate. It'll be easier to communicate to staff, partners and the public. It'll be clearer to manage and report performance. So then since March, we've developed targets for the performance indicators for the year ahead so that we know exactly what we're aiming to achieve. We're also starting work on directorate business plans and on communicating the corporate plan, delivery plan, both with staff and with the public. So I take you then to the recommendations in paragraph 9.
Can I have a mover and seconder, please?
Happy to move, Madam Mayor.
Seconder?
Happy to second, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, JP. No questions? Councillor John Spanswick, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First, I want to thank Alex and the team for the work that's been done here to bring the corporate plan and our wellbeing objectives down to something that's not just more manageable, but can be more relating to people in the street and ourselves as a council and how we work and take things forward. The 4 wellbeing objectives are a prosperous place with thriving communities, creating modern, seamless public services, enabling public to meet their potential, and supporting also our most vulnerable. I just want to reassure members the previous objectives mentioned valleys communities. This one now says a prosperous place with thriving communities, but there's no intention there to dilute or water down the focus that needs to take place on our valleys communities, and that is shown in the appendix 1, with the aim to regenerate downtown centres and valleys. But there perhaps is more we need to do to make sure we make it 100% clear that we're committed to regenerating our valley areas, and a Valleys Members Forum has been set up, and maybe members might want to say something further about that, but there's in no way to dilute the focus on the valleys, but it does bring in the objectives down to something more manageable, and in due course I can remember the 4 straight off, because remembering the 7 previously wasn't an easy task. It's not just about that, it's about making it more related, more have a document we can use and take us forward. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
100% agree with that, Councillor Spanswick. Councillor Martin Hughes, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Thanks to for the leader. I think he's picked up on a point that I wanted to raise. It's important that we keep a focus on our valley communities and the regeneration. And it's encouraging to see that a new Valleys Forum has been set up, which I'd like to see perhaps formalised in some way as part of the formal council structure. I'm grateful to Alex for the report that she did pick up on 2 issues that are raised at COSC. One of them was about the amalgamation of housing and DFGs, and the other was on keeping the focus on valley communities as being distinct. But I also thank Alex for referring to these as being good, thoughtful suggestions. I'm very pleased to have that. That said, I go along with the proposals, with the proviso, as I've set out, and supporting the comments from the leader. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes. Councillor Rees-Good, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Alex and the team for the work in the report. I know they put an awful lot of work into doing this. I welcome the leader's comments about the valleys still being a priority. I think we can all accept that even though it was in the previous 7, there perhaps wasn't still a focus on the valleys that I think we do need to have as a council. But my question here is actually more about timing. I'm obviously very conscious that Mark will be leaving us in the next few months, and a new chief exec will be joining us. So we're 2 years into this plan now. We're reviewing it now to change it from 7 to 4. How do we know that this will be something that carries us forward for the next few years and not therefore change next year when we get a new chief exec who may have his own views on how to take us forward?
Alex, would you like to take that, please?
I think we questioned ourselves on the basis of that even this year, you know, with the significant level of change we're talking about going from 7 to 4, even that takes you, you know, in a slightly different direction to where potentially we were going with the 7. We are prioritising, we are cutting back a bit. I think the overall direction and ambition of that overall 2023-28 corporate plan is still there in this 1-year delivery plan, and I think inevitably it will be, because we were, you know, we were very general, we were very broad in our 5-year plan there. I think we've just prioritised further, but I'm sure you're right, and I think, you know, one of the things that we talk about in the team is that there is quite a cyclical nature to corporate planning. Each time we develop a new 5-year corporate plan, we're highly ambitious, maybe even over-ambitious, and then its lifetime we refine it, prioritise it, make it more focused. And I think maybe that's inevitable, but maybe it's a lesson for us next time we develop a 5-year plan to be that bit more realistic, even from the very start when we're looking at the evidence and looking at the data out there.
Thank you, Alex. Councillor Jane Gebbie, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Thank you very much for the question, Councillor Good. I think the one response I would give you off the top of my head is it's up to members what that corporate plan would look like. And actually, we can change it every year should we wish to. So I think it will be a discussion with the new chief exec. But I really do think that this is a forward-looking document. We had too many things in our old corporate plan. There was no way that we could rationally look at it and see what we were achieving, what we weren't achieving. I do think this new format has been tested through heads of service, CMB, scrutiny, cabinet and corporate overview and scrutiny committee, because it's been to all of them. So it's very much been tested. And I think, to be honest, I think this will give us a better example of how good we are as a council, because what we were trying to achieve actually some of it wasn't within our gift to achieve. So it's very council specific. I think that's something that we really do need to focus on in our corporate plan for the benefit of our residents. It's things that we can do, not things that we wish every other organisation would do as well. Thanks very much, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Gerbie. Can I take the members to the report's recommendations and ask, are you all in favour, please? Aye. Thank you. We go on to number 7, scrutiny review. I will now ask the Chief Officer, Legal HR, Corporate Policy to present. Kelly, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report today, members, is to provide you with an update on the work being undertaken in response to Audit Wales recommendations, including options for new scrutiny arrangements, and also to seek Council's approval of the scrutiny protocol following a scrutiny review undertaken in 2024. In June 2024, the Welsh Local Government Association supported a review of scrutiny in Bridgend. This was carried out by an external consultant who spoke to various members and officers. Attached at Appendix 1 is the result of that review. The main recommendations are set out at paragraph 2.1 of your report. In addition, Audit Wales undertook a review of decision-making arrangements across the Council. This audit concluded that the Council generally has proper decision-making arrangements in place, but weaknesses in forward planning and pre-decision scrutiny were undermining their effectiveness. There were 3 recommendations from that audit relating to scrutiny, and these are at paragraph 2.3. In Bridgend, we have had multiple committees since 2017. At that time, there was a full review and restructure of the scrutiny arrangements. This resulted in a centralised structure whereby Corporate Overview and Scrutiny Committee would oversee the forward work programme for each subject committee. In light of the reviews and recommendations, officers have further reviewed the scrutiny structure and put forward potential options for consideration. The scrutiny structure options set out in detail at paragraph 3.1 have been considered by group leaders, current scrutiny chairs and the Corporate Overview and Scrutiny Committee. There appears to be a unanimous agreement that option 2 is the preferred option. This was put forward as a formal recommendation from Corporate Scrutiny to full Council. This would retain 4 scrutiny committees with a Corporate Overview and Scrutiny Committee and 3 formally themed committees with names yet to be determined. It is therefore proposed that Council endorse the recommendations of COSC and approve the revised scrutiny structure as outlined at option 2. If Council agree this proposal, consideration also needs to be given as to how budget scrutiny will be taken forward under the revised structure. The current system involves detailed scrutiny of the draft budget by each individual committee who feed back via COSC to provide recommendations to Cabinet. This process results in an intense period of scrutiny in early January, which is resource intensive for officers and members. There has been cross-party feedback that these sessions are repetitive. To mitigate this, the proposal would be to allocate budget scrutiny exclusively to COSC. This would involve a working group being established with representatives from all committees and chaired by the chair of COSC. The group would feed back to COSC, and this would reduce duplication and allow for in-depth scrutiny to be undertaken throughout the budget setting process. This option would result in additional responsibilities for the chair of COSC, who would also chair the budget working group. Members should consider whether the increased workload and additional responsibilities of the chair would necessitate the post being remunerated. Noting this will have implication on the Council's schedule of remuneration and other senior salary entitlements. At this time, an agreement in principle is needed so that firm recommendations can be developed for the AGM in May. In accordance with the formula used under the Local Government Measure 2011, should Council approve 4 remunerated scrutiny chairs, these would be allocated to the following political groups. Labour would get 2 chairs, Bridgend County Independents would get 1 chair, and the Democratic Alliance would get 1 chair. It is proposed that each committee has 14 members going forward, and we propose amending the Constitution to limit scrutiny meetings to 3 hours in duration. Members are further asked to approve the scrutiny protocol, which has been developed and is appended to your report at Appendix 2. Madam Mayor, I'll take members to recommendations of paragraph 9. Thank you.
Can I have a mover and seconder of the report, please?
Move, Madam Mayor.
Second.
Thank you. Councillor Alex Williams, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. First, I'd like to thank Hugh Rees and the whole scrutiny team for all of the hard work they've done in an effort to improve our scrutiny arrangements. I think the protocol is excellent and really deserves our full support. I'd like to address some of the Audit Wales recommendations, if I may. I agree with the conclusion that renaming the committees to align them with the respective directorates is the best way forward, and this explicitly satisfies the Audit Wales recommendation. But while I'm in favour of option 2, as Kelly suggested, I am not in favour of an additional remunerated chair, as I don't believe it's necessary in spite of the additional workload, so suggest the deletion of this recommendation. With regards to the conclusions on forward work programmes, the report says that weaknesses in forward planning and pre-decision scrutiny have been identified. But all I would say is that a long-term forward work programme is often difficult to achieve in practice. Unexpected and emerging items may come forward on which the Cabinet member and Corporate Director would value scrutiny involvement, and we only have a limited amount of time. Therefore, I am unsure how we construct a robust and long-term forward work programme which fulfills all of the following objectives. 1, that it mirrors the Cabinet's work programme. 2, that we respond to emerging pressures. 3, how we incorporate referrals from COSC. 4, how we respond to referrals from the Governance and Audit Committee. And 5, last but not least, how we build in items which scrutiny committee members suggest themselves. So more thought will have to go into this. With regards to the formal scrutiny of the budget, I believe that members of COSC should convene immediately after the AGM to establish these 3 working groups, comprised of the members of each of the scrutiny committees and chaired by the COSC chair. I think this would involve more members in the BREP process. Finally, I also believe, Madam Mayor, that the Constitution should enshrine the principle that the chair of COSC, which has overall oversight of corporate performance and the budget, should at all times be chaired by a member not belonging to the party or group which forms the administration. I believe this is necessary because of the checks and balances, and I would say this if the administration were of any political persuasion. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Amanda Williams, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I'm going to support everything that Councillor Alex Williams said there. I'm not going to be able to say it as succinctly as he has just done, other than to add to it that when you ask the question, should opposition chair, should the chair scrutiny, the answer is always yes. It's recommended that they should be the chair of a scrutiny committee. I mentioned in COSC, because I know there's been criticism of me online with regards to what I do for my senior salary, that I'd be more than willing to chair COSC myself, so there would be no need for any additional salary to anyone. So I just wanted to confirm that there. And I had a question then relating to any call-ins and where the call-ins would go. If we used to, back when in my first term, we used to have named committees. So I wondered where those call-ins would go. Would they go into a specific committee or the one who had the availability to meet? Thank you.
Kelly, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for your question, Councillor Williams. The proposal is that the committees will eventually be named once we come up with some names, so they will be based on some general themes. Some proposals at the moment is that they follow the lines of the directorate, so there'd be a communities and education and a social services and wellbeing, but that is still up for discussion. So in general terms, the call-in would go to the theme that it relates to. However, there can be an exception that if it's a timeliness issue and there is a committee already set up, it could go to that one, and that would be determined in negotiation with the chairs.
Thank you. Councillor Timothy Thomas, please.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor, and I echo the comments from both Councillor Alex Williams and Amanda Williams as well. I disapprove of another remunerated position, a chair, that is. But in addition to that as well, I do have two minor questions as well. The first one is on the proposal to extend the forward work programme. Currently it's 4 months. And as Councillor Williams, Alex Williams says, that does have to be flexible. But I'm just wondering if Rachel could clarify really what other local authorities do in terms of their forward work programme. She may not know off the top of her head, I appreciate that. But if she does, that'd be great. Secondly, there's a point made in the recommendation to limit meetings to 3 hours. And I do appreciate that our scrutiny meetings are absolutely exhaustive. I would like to pay tribute to our scrutiny officers who do a tremendous job. But I'm just wondering, in all practicality, how will that be achieved without diluting members, the number of questions that members do? Because obviously these questions are important, and I just wondered how that's going to be achieved in practical terms, please.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Can I just fetch in Rachel first, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, in terms of other local authorities, Councillor Thomas, it does vary in terms of forward work programme, but I do know that there are several who do kind of practice a 4 or 6 month forward work programme. Certainly that was indicated to us by Audit Wales when they undertook the inspection. But as I said, I can double check on that and do a little bit of data analysis on that. But certainly, yes, I think the implication from Audit Wales was that it was usually encouraged to be a 6 month forward work programme. Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel. Kelly, come in now, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On the forward work programme point, that was obviously the recommendation from Audit Wales, and they've also asked that we apply that to also to Cabinet and Committee, Cabinet and Council meetings as well. So they didn't just focus on scrutiny, they are looking at wider, that we should have that longer forward work programme. I think it is important we keep some flexibility in the system. As you said, there may be urgent matters that arise that need to be determined. And I think that comes into the importance of having regular scrutiny chair meetings where the chair and the scrutiny team meet with the relevant directors to sense check what's coming up and what would be ready to go to scrutiny at the appropriate times. In relation to your second point, Councillor Thomas, around the 3 hour mark, I have had quite a lot of feedback from members who find the long scrutiny members excessive. They find it difficult either at home or in the chamber, that these meetings can go on for a very long time. Sometimes they run into other meetings. I think for the well-being of members, we need to make sure that they're not overrunning, especially when they clash in them with other meetings already in the calendar. There will always be an exemption in the Constitution which allows the chair to sort of overrule and run on. So if you come into the end of an item, I don't expect the chair to shut it down. They can obviously extend for a short period. We have got circumstances already where the chair is quite rigid with chairing committees. The Governance and Audit Committee, they will come to the end of their allotted time and they will say that other items have to roll on. It obviously will be a matter for the chair to determine, but I think, with experienced chairs, that will develop over time and become custom.
Thank you, Kelly. Councillor Martin Williams, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A number of the points I was going to raise have been addressed, and I do recognise the good work that was carried out, and I took part in one of the sessions myself, which I found very interesting. I do find myself in favour with option 2. To have named scrutiny committees does bring a clarity, not just for us members, but for the public as well. And it's the public that we need to keep on board at all times, because we're their servants, of course. Where I agree with my colleagues who have spoken before is that I am in fundamental disagreement with the notion of appointing or creating an additional remunerated chair. One, because I don't think the public will wear it, and two, I don't think it's necessary, and it looks very bad when we're trying to. It looks very bad when we're trying to, cut back on services and be more efficient, where we're seen, on the face of it, to be creating jobs for ourselves. I fully endorse Councillor Amanda Williams' point that there has been criticism from certain quarters or certain half of the chamber that perhaps the leader of the opposition and the leader of all opposition groups don't earn their money. What better opportunity is there now but to allow the to allow the leader of the largest opposition group, or maybe deputised by the other opposition group, to chair COSC and to bring some balance and some rigour to that process. I think it is a great opportunity for us to come together. Councillor Alex Williams did mention that he was opposed to the creation of an additional remunerated chair. If he was to propose that as an amendment, I would be very happy to second that.
Thank you, Councillor Martin Williams. I'll fetch Kelly now, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just for clarity, essentially, there's two things here which are being slightly conflated. So if you stay with the current system where there are 3 remunerated chairs, that would remain at 1 chair for each group, and then the chair of COSC would come from those 3. So essentially, even though Councillor Williams is offering to chair COSC, she would need to be appointed as the chair of one of the other committees first, because the chair of COSC, it'd be the same arrangement we've got now. If you go with the 4 remunerated chairs, it would be the 2, the 1 and the 1. And then obviously each group who was allocated a chair would put forward who they wanted for that role. As always, and with all remuneration, it is a matter for the recipient of that salary to decide whether they take that salary or not. But you can't have a position where you'd have your 3 remunerated chairs and then Councillor Amanda Williams or anybody else volunteering to chair COSC.
Councillor Ross Thomas, please.
Yeah, diolch, Chair. Notwithstanding the comments made by previous speakers, with which I agree, can I first of all take the opportunity to thank the scrutiny team. It's sometimes not very pretty work. It's very laborious work, and I've sat in meetings, certainly budget meetings over the last couple of years, which have taken in length some 6 or 7 hours of discussion. So I think they deserve a big thank you for the work that they do and getting us into the position whereby we can make recommendations to Cabinet, in particular for the budget, but other bits and pieces of scrutiny work as well. So thank you to the team for that. That takes me to my second point about timings. It's absolutely not efficient with the way some of the meetings have been run. That's not a criticism of chairs, it's just the way that the meetings have gone. And I've spoken to members and officers alike in some of those 5, 6 and 7 hour meetings where the first 2 or 3 items get scrutinised to absolute death. And by the time 1 or 2 p.m. comes around and you've got some substantial items on the agenda, there just isn't the breadth or the will to live, to be perfectly honest, to scrutinise those items. And I don't think that's very fair. So the Chief Legal Officer's point is absolutely right around well-being, but it's for the good of scrutiny, for the authority, for the administration, for members as well. That's not permitted to happen. So I welcome the 3-hour cap with that flexibility, and I think that's only right. I too agree with previous speakers around there not being an additional remunerated post. I don't think it's a good look. And while I respect what Kelly has said, I think there's potentially a way around this in avoiding that as well through the leader of the opposition potentially chairing COSC. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Councillor John, sorry, I'll fetch Kelly.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to clarify one other point, because I don't know if this is clear. If the additional remunerated post is agreed, there isn't currently budget for that. So that would mean, which is why we need the decision in principle today, we would need to look at the whole schedule of remuneration. So the overall budget wouldn't change. It would just mean that money would need to be reallocated. And the proposal for that was we would look at the whole schedule of remuneration and we would do some analysis as to what current chairs we have, what their workload is, and if there are any then that can be moved around. And obviously that would be presented to you at the AGM for formal decision. It's not extra budget.
Thank you, Kelly. Councillor John Spansworth, please.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. And I agree with quite a lot of what's been said. And one of the main principles I do agree strongly with is that the chair of the corporate scrutiny should be an opposition member. And that should always be the case, especially when it comes to the budget and the important elements of scrutiny there. And I'd like to thank Councillor Amanda Williams for offering to chair that corporate scrutiny. And I've been openly critical, not just in this administration, but the previous one, 2017-22, that I've strongly felt for a long time the leader of the largest opposition group should chair the corporate scrutiny. It makes sense, and it holds this administration to account. I welcome that. And then Kelly, I'm glad you did clarify then, this is not about additional expenditure for remuneration, this is about reallocating remuneration to where the workload is. And that was the basis of one of the amendments to the option put forward for the budget process. There was an amendment put forward that remuneration should follow with the workload. And there is a lot of workload with costs, with BREP, scrutiny, whether that's alternative budget proposals. So this is not, and I repeat again, not about additional expenditure, because an attempt it appears to be in the chamber to try and create a story. This is about increasing the cost of members' remuneration. It's not about that. It's reallocating it to where the workload is. And that is a separate discussion we need to have in a separate meeting. And the last point to make, again, I strongly agree that scrutiny meetings should, and any meetings, should have a limit, whether it's 3 hours, because not every member is able to commit full-time to being a councillor. They have full-time jobs, part-time jobs. People need to be able to plan their workload, so if they know that there's a 3-hour meeting, they can plan their workload accordingly, plan their day accordingly. That's not unreasonable to expect there to be a 3-hour limit. I know it works in corporate governance and audit, but strictly it works there. I'm not saying that's the way, but put in a time limit at least allows people to plan their workload accordingly. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Spansworth. Councillor Jonathan Pratt, please.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. No, I'm broadly in support of option 2, but I just wanted to go over budget scrutiny, and maybe I'm misunderstanding it, but we'll have a panel created under COSC from each of the scrutiny committees. How would that group be formed? Would it be under the formula used by the local government, Wales Measure 2011? Because as a standalone councillor, I'm concerned that me and other standalone councillors will be completely shut out of budget scrutiny until the day of the budget, where I will have to put in a final hurrah at the very last minute because I will have no official avenue to scrutinise the budget. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
I'll fetch Kelly in to answer your questions.
Thank you. That isn't the intention at all. The finer details need to be ironed out. At the moment, we don't know how big the working group would be, whether the membership of that could slightly change depending on what topic you're looking at, whether you'd have other little subgroups underneath it. But the proposal would be that there would be cross-party representation and also representation from any standalone members.
Thank you. I'll fetch in Councillor Melanie Evans, then there's Councillor Simon Griffiths, and then Councillor Elaine Winstanley. I'll take no more questions on that then, because I think we've had a robust discussion. Councillor Melanie Evans.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I mean, I'm mindful at the moment that we've just agreed the review of the corporate plan at item 6 today, and therefore, if I can just raise the attention to point 5.3 on page 61, I would have thought that this would need to be reflective of what we've just agreed going forward. Kelly, please.
Yeah, once the corporate, now you've agreed the corporate plan, the report template will be changed. This is a general paragraph that's in all reports. It's not specific to this item.
Councillor Simon Griffiths, please.
Thank you, Lady Mayor. Yes, so I'm in good support of this particular suggestion as well. I'm very mindful of the workload on COSC, because COSC is not just one group, it is COSC and BREP, and BREP probably meets more than many of the other committees do. So I think this is a good move, and actually it's a fairly pragmatic move within a cost envelope that we have. We're all very aware of the constraints the council has on funding, so I think trying to make sure that we use our best members, whatever party they are from, on the most important committees, I think is a good move. And I support the leader's comments earlier as well about COSC is best chaired by a member of the opposition as well. Thank you, Lady Mayor.
Councillor Elaine Winstanley, and Councillor Howard Williams is definitely the last one after that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to reiterate my agreement with the need for having meetings to be a set amount of time, because it's impossible otherwise for members who have other commitments, whether that's caring or employment or whatever, to be able to spend the whole time on a meeting. And quite frequently, if I've had to leave a meeting early because of work commitments or caring responsibilities, then obviously I'm not in on all of the decision making, which I think is a shame when you've been in most of the meeting. So I would reiterate that we do need to keep meetings to time. And I'd just like to say that there was an obvious change in how one of our meetings was run, and it was run a lot better because there was timings, etc., as a result of the chair's training that had recently been put out. So I'd just like to say it's really good to have proper training and to also be planning out how a meeting is going to be, how long we're going to spend on each item. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winstanley. Councillor Howell Williams, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to offer maybe a different perspective on the remuneration side of the role of the councillor. We do have an independent remuneration panel who sets the particular remuneration for the roles that councillors are expected to undertake. And I think my concern comes from, I don't want financial means to be a barrier to anyone taking up the responsibilities as a councillor. Now, we all come from different walks of life, and I'm just going to use my own particular circumstances, I suppose. I'm self-employed, so if I take time off, I don't get paid. And I'm very fortunate that I've got a very supportive family around me that can fill in and support me to enable me to do my role. Now, not everyone is in that position, and so I wouldn't want someone who can't afford to take that time off or to put that extra effort in, being denied that opportunity to be a chair because they simply have other duties that they can't relieve to somebody else. So I just want to leave that there. Really, is the fundamental principle of a democracy is that the electorate can remove someone if they feel that they haven't been supportive or I'm muddling myself up there now. The electorate can withdraw support from someone if they don't feel that they are representing their views, and that is their role and their responsibility. For us to decide who gets paid what when we have an independent remuneration panel, I think we're just walking on very dangerous territory there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Howard Williams. Councillor Alex Williams, do you have an amendment?
Thank you for indulging me, Madam Mayor. I just want to seek some clarification, if I may, from Kelly, in that I was under the impression that option 2 meant that we required an additional remunerated chair and that you were going to restructure potentially other salaries accordingly, and that would be brought before the AGM. However, from my reading of it, option 1 would retain the current structure, and there would be nothing precluding us from renaming the committees to satisfy the Audit Wales recommendations. And then I assume that we can simply adopt the Audit Wales recommendations and the recommendations from Hugh Rees and the scrutiny team without restructuring the scrutiny function altogether. So therefore, I assume that the recommendations can be amended accordingly, and that is to delete item 3 of the recommendations, and that is whether a remunerated chair is necessary, because essentially the chair of COSC could be made up of either the opposition chair from Bridgend County Independence or the opposition chair from the Democratic Alliance, meaning that no additional remunerated chair is necessary. So therefore, the deletion of item 3 would gain my support.
Kelly, please.
Yeah. Option 1 and option 2 are very similar. There are some finer details. Option 2 doesn't have to come with the extra remunerated, I can't say that word, chair. So you could agree option 2 and everything else in the recommendations and then come back to point 3 about the remuneration. And that's what I was going to suggest. If we want to go through the recommendations one by one, and then when we get to the one about because I'm sensing there's agreement to everything else apart from that issue. So if we go through them one by one and then make the amendment to number 3.
Councillors, we now go to the recommendation, as Kelly says, and we'll go through them one by one. All right? Thank you. Yes, Councillor Williams. Alex Williams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Kelly. I'm happy with that suggestion. Just going back to my original remarks, would we have to put in a recommendation that enshrined the principle that an opposition chair would chair COSC now, so it can be incorporated within the AGM, or can we do that at a later date? Because there seems to be consensus, especially from the leader and other members, that could be the case. So do we need to add that recommendation in at this point?
You can either add it in as a recommendation. That has always been custom and practice in Bridgend anyway, and I've never had any dissent to that, and I've never had any requests that it's anything other than that. So you can either do it as a formal recommendation now, or you can just leave it with me to include in the papers for the AGM.
Yeah, okay. Happy to leave it, Madam Mayor.
Right, thank you. Councillor Pratt, just come back in and ask the last.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. No, on the grounds of this remunerated position, I'm unfortunate where I don't have to worry about ever getting it because I'm not in a group. But but what I'm concerned here from what Councillor Williams is saying, and it's fair, but it's setting up for our current system. After 2027, you don't know what the makeup of this council will be, and we have set up a system which suits this current system. I mean, we've got a by-election on the 1st of May, which may completely shake up the system itself. So I am concerned of setting up precedent for a current makeup within this chamber and what sort of chaos may assume post-2027, because we're assuming that there are, I'm sure they will be here, but the Democratic Alliance and Bridgend County Independents will be in that makeup. So we are now, will be, if I'm still here in 2027, having that discussion over remunerated, because our group system may have changed completely. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
It's a fair enough question. Thank you, Councillor Pratt.
Thank you. This is basically, you'd agree in the principles to how you want the scrutiny structure set up and how many scrutiny chairs you think should be remunerated. That will obviously change depending on the dynamics within the chamber and the numbers within the chamber. So it could be that after 2027 it will change and there would be, four groups who would all get a chair. That is just the nature of it. And if there is dissent at that time, we could look at reviewing it again to better suit the circumstances at that time.
Councillor Ross Thomas, you are definitely the last speaker.
Just seeking some very quick clarity. Some quick clarity, Madam Mayor, just before I vote. There seems to be consensus among members, and in particular among group leaders, the three of us, Councillor Williams, Councillor Smazik and myself, that the Leader of the Opposition should be given the opportunity to chair COSC. But under option 1, for example, I think to a certain extent option 2, but certainly option 1, that isn't permitted. So is that something that we can put forward today, or is it something we can put forward as a constitutional amendment for the AGM that's permitted? Because at the moment, with option 1, it's very much only the chair from the DA and also the chair from BCI, not the Leader of the Opposition.
Kerry will answer that for you, Ross.
Okay, so under the measure, we can't dictate who the chair needs to be. So we can't say it needs to be the opposition group leader of the opposition. So your options are you either agree to have 4 remunerated chairs, and then each group will allocate their people, their members to their seats, with the agreement that we've just come to in the council, that the COSC one will be an opposition member. So it will be for each then group to decide whether that's another member of their group or whether that is going to be the group leader of their group. That is a group decision. That isn't a decision that can be taken by the wider group council. If you stay with 3 chairs remunerated, your chair of COSC has to come from those 3. So depending on who is appointed to be the chair of the 3 subject committees will determine who is then the unpaid chair of COSC. And as we've just agreed, it would be an opposition chair. So it would be whoever the Bridgend County Independents or whoever the Democratic Alliance has as their scrutiny chairs would have to be put forward to be the chair of COSC, unremunerated. Essentially what we've got now. So you're either staying with what we've got now or you're moving to 4 remunerated positions. Members, do you want me to go through them one by one, or I'm sensing that there's agreement to everything apart from point 3. Are you happy to confirm everything but point 3? Councillor Williams, you're shaking your head at me.
Madam Mayor, thank you. I think Ross, Councillor Pennell-Thomas has opened a bit of a can of worms there. Apologies. That's my medication alarm. Apologies. I think Councillor Pennell-Thomas has opened a bit of a can of worms there, because option 1, therefore, would stick with the current system. So that is what we some of us are suggesting that we do, in that we do not have that remunerated chair.
Option 1 and option 2 both have that as an option, that you stick with the current remuneration system. There are some slight differences between option 1 and option 2, and I think the feel in terms of just the scrutiny function, not in terms of remuneration, but in terms of the delivery of scrutiny, it was felt that option 2 was better. You can go with option 2 and decide not to remunerate the 4th chair. It doesn't come on the assumption that the 4th chair will be remunerated. So from a scrutiny perspective, just pure scrutiny, how scrutiny is delivered, option 2 is the officer recommendation and the recommendation from COSC. The issue around the remuneration is quite separate.
Councillor John Spanzer, please.
Yeah, sorry, Madam Mayor. I just feel that if I can try and clarify, because I think we're making hard work of this. I think we all agreed option 2.
That was my next comment.
The question or clarification I'd like to put forward is 4 remunerated chairs. Personally, I don't think it is a problem. So, but that wouldn't, it's not additional expenditure. We'd have to reallocate or not make payments to some other posts to cover that cost. And then, if Councillor Amanda Williams, as has been stated, volunteers to chair costs, there'd actually be a saving to the budget. But we'd have to allocate money to it. It'd have to be allocated to the post. But if the leader of the opposition, as has been stated, volunteers.
Kelly's got a comment here. Excuse me.
Okay, Kelly.
Yeah, as I've explained, council as a whole cannot compel a group to say who has to be their chair. So, and you know, I don't want to get into personal issues here because we are naming individuals, but the group leader of the BCI couldn't be, or any other group, couldn't be compelled to be a chair of any committee. So for the group leader of the BCI to chair COSC, they would need to be appointed as the chair of one of the subject committees by their group. That is a matter for their group, who they appoint as their scrutiny chair.
Councillor Amanda Williams, do you have a comment, please?
Yes, thanks. I think from what I can get out of this meeting now, it seems to be a political attack to reduce my group's senior salaries to 1 from 2. When I said I would chair COSC, I would chair COSC at no extra cost, but my senior salary is one that has to be paid as the largest group leader, opposition group leader. And as Kelly said, you know, that is set. So what you'd be then doing is making my group have the smallest representatives, Labour would end up with 58% of senior salaries. Your councillors would end up with 58% of senior salaries, and my group would have the smallest with a larger number. And I think there's a political game here, whereas scrutiny should not in any way be political. So I'm not content with the way this is going.
We'll go through this, I think, with Kelly now and set this out straight, because we have to move on with this.
Okay, the deputy has asked me to explain the proportionality. So if we go to four remunerated chairs, as I've said, Labour would get 2, each of the 2 groups would then get 1 each. That's based on the numbers. There is some anomalies in the scrutiny regulations, which if you haven't got an odd number, you've got to round down for the administration and round up for the opposition. But the outcome would be that Labour would, on current numbers, Labour would get 2, ECI would get 1, and Democratic Alliance would get 1. If you had 4 remunerated. If you stay with 3 remunerated, those 3 groups would all get 1 each. And then the 4th COSC chair would have to come from one of those individuals, which you've all just agreed should be an opposition member. I think it may be helpful now if we go through, if we can get agreement to, because I think from my perspective as an officer, and I'm sure I can speak on behalf of Rachel and the team, the purpose of this report today was to improve the scrutiny function and to make improvements to our scrutiny regime going forward in response to audit and external recommendations. And I think we're getting somewhat distracted here. So I think if we can at least agree the recommendations that will have a direct impact on the scrutiny function, that would at least be a way forward. So if I can ask members, is there agreement to point 1 of your recommendations? Aye. Point 2? I'm going to leave point 3. Point 4, 14 members. Yeah. Point 5, the scrutiny protocol. And then point 6, the report presented to the AGM to incorporate the revised terms of reference, membership, and noting that COSC will lead on budget scrutiny. So the issue we've got left is issue number 3. I think how we'll play this, Madam Mayor, is we'll ask if everybody's in favour and then we'll have a vote. Okay.
Are we all in favour?
No.
No.
We'll go to vote then, please.
Okay. Thank you, members. If I can take you then. So we are asking for the recommendation or against the recommendation. So it's for an additional remunerated chair or against an additional remunerated chair. I'll go through the list. Councillor Sean Aspey, please.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Heidi Bennett.
For.
Councillor Anthony Barrow.
Against.
Councillor Freya Bledsoe.
Against.
Councillor Stephen Bledsoe.
Against.
Thank you. Councillor John Paul Blundell.
For.
Councillor Eugene Caparos.
For.
Councillor Nora Clark.
Against.
Thank you. Councillor Richard Collins.
For.
Councillor Hugh David. Councillor Chris Davis.
Against.
Councillor Colin Davis.
For.
Councillor Paul Davis.
For.
Councillor Stephen Easterbrook.
Against.
Councillor Melanie Evans.
For.
Councillor Neil O'Farr.
For.
Councillor Paula Ford.
For.
Councillor Jane Gebby.
For.
Councillor Rhys Good.
For.
Councillor Richard Granville.
For.
Councillor Heather Griffiths.
For.
Councillor Simon Griffiths.
4.
Councillor Gary Haynes.
4.
Councillor Dave Harrison.
Against.
Councillor Dela Hughes. Councillor Dela Hughes just said against. Her microphone isn't working. Councillor Martin Hughes.
4.
Councillor Malcolm James.
Against.
Thank you. Councillor Mark John.
Strongly against.
Thank you. Councillor Martin Jones.
4.
Councillor William Kendall.
4.
Councillor Joanna Llewellyn Hopkins.
4.
Councillor Jonathan Pratt.
4.
Councillor Rob Smith.
Against.
Councillor John Spanswick.
4.
Councillor Ian Spiller.
Against.
Councillor Ross Thomas.
Against.
Councillor Tim Thomas.
Against.
Councillor Jeff Tilsley.
Point of order, please, Madam Mayor. Councillor Tilsley left the chamber during the debate.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Graham Walter.
4.
Thank you. Councillor Alan Wathen.
Against.
Councillor Alex Williams.
Against.
Councillor Amanda Williams.
Against.
Councillor Ian Williams.
Against.
Thank you. Councillor Martin Williams.
Against.
Councillor Howell Williams.
4.
Councillor Layman Stanley.
4.
And Councillor Tim Wood.
Against.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, it's carried 26 to 20. Thank you.
Thank you.
26 to 20.
26 to 20. Motion was carried 26 to 20. Thank you. We'll now go on to number 8, notice of motion proposed by Councillor Ian Williams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll deliver it from the lectern, please.
Yes, you will need your card. I should have told you that. Sorry. As you know, Councillor Williams, you have 5 minutes when you start. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, councillors. In June 2020, this authority declared a climate emergency and has implemented all necessary measures to reduce its carbon footprint. In 2021, the Welsh Government declared a nature emergency. What this means is that 17% of 3,902 species studied in Wales are at risk of extinction, with many others in decline. The following plans and acts are now in place. In 2015, the Welsh Government's Nature Recovery Plan, NRAP, recognised Wales was far from reaching national and international biodiversity goals. Data now shows that Welsh wildlife decreased on average by 20% between 1994 and 2023, and around 1 in 6 Welsh species were at risk of extinction in 2023. The Environment Wales Act 2016 aims to reverse the decline in biodiversity. Among other things, it places an enhanced biodiversity and resilience of ecosystems duty on public authorities. The Senedd has since declared a nature emergency, and the Welsh Government has said it will embed its response to the climate and nature emergency in everything it does. This motion moves that this Council resolves to sign up to the nature emergency declared by the Welsh Government on the 30th of June 2021 and considers the impact of all decisions made by this authority on the wildlife, nature and biodiversity within our borough. Just to give a little bit of reinforcement to my motion, I'll read the following words from the Auditor General, Adrian Crompton. And I quote, "The duty set out in the Act ought to be a powerful statement about the need for all public authorities to take decisive action on biodiversity decline. But good intentions and examples of funding for biodiversity action are not enough. The Welsh Government itself needs to do more and lead by example and support improvement and take a more active interest in the application and impact of its own legislation. It has an opportunity to do just that as it considers change to environmental law, but will need to ensure this area of work gets the priority it deserves if it is to reverse nature loss for future generations. This authority needs to protect the natural environment within our borough and make sure that it remains vibrant and healthy for our children and grandchildren to enjoy. I implore this council to support this motion. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Do I have a second of the motion, please?
I second.
Are there any amendments to this motion? Councillor Martin Hughes, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. While I accept the motion, what I feel is that it's largely retrospective and that a lot of work has been prepared in drawing up the white paper from the Welsh Government that was issued last year. And also, as Councillor Williams has referred to, the Auditor General has come up with some quite revealing statements about the state of climate emergency in Wales. In fact, there was a report produced only last month headed "The Nature Emergency has not been a high enough priority." So what we can expect is that the Welsh Government will produce some new guidance, some new legislation, and if we were to accept the motion as is worded at the moment, that doesn't go on, it doesn't focus our concentration on the future. So having said that, what I would like to do, Madam Mayor, is to propose the following amendment, which would take on board the full wording of the motion, but to add the following paragraph: that this council recognises the recent Auditor General's comments about the limitations of the current approaches to biodiversity decline and Welsh Government's intention to change environmental law so that biodiversity action is prioritised. Accordingly, this council commits to work proactively with the Welsh Government to achieve the new targets for the protection and restoration of biodiversity, which is expected to be included in new environmental legislation, so that we can address the ongoing nature emergency, which was declared by Senedd in 2021. So I'd like to move that amendment, Madam Chair.
Is there a seconder to that motion, please? Amendment. JP?
Very happy. Sorry, my
Councillor
microphone
David,
doesn't
sorry,
appear to be.
yes.
Sorry, apologies, my microphone doesn't appear to be working, Madam Mayor. Very happy to second the amendment, proposed amendment to the motion. I very much welcome the work that's been undertaken currently across the county borough, particularly in my own ward of Pyle, Kempergill and Kevin Cribbo at Bedford Park, our newest nature reserve, where biodiversity enhancement works are currently being undertaken to protect the great crested newt. And I'm also pleased that we've had an extension of the Frog Pondwood Nature Reserve also in the Pyle area, and the benefits that we've seen from the extension of the woodland habitat at that site as well. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor David. Councillor Williams, Councillor Ian Williams, are you happy to accept that?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor.
You are? That's fine, thank you. And the seconder? Yes? Thank you. Councillor Jonathan Pratt, please.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Though I'm broadly in support of everything and the amendment, I just it boggles me that we're going to start declaring states of emergency and sort of everything. We've got legislation. This local authority is acting on it because we have to, whether we agreed with it or not. It's just sort of the loosening of the term of emergency really irks me. And I wasn't here when this authority declared a climate emergency, but I think I would have been of the same opinion that a state of emergency is of the imminent danger for citizens in peril in an immediate moment. And I just feel that the loosening of the term of an emergency it irritates me. So this is just the point I wanted to make. We need, as politicians, to gauge how we take things seriously, but not go over the top and start declaring emergencies here, there, and everywhere over everything. Though I am in support of just not happy with the term emergency. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Your comments are noted, Councillor Pratt. Councillor Martin Williams, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I seem to jump up the list then. Yeah, I just want to state my support for the motion, and I'm content with the amendment as well. I think people take it for granted, those who live in our county borough, quite how diverse our natural environment is, whether it's with the dune system or commons and some wonderful places. So I think one, they do need to be protected, and two, I think we just need to celebrate what we have on our doorstep as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Councillor Paul Davis, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. As is my portfolio, Madam Mayor, I thought that incumbent on me to lay out what we have been doing in regard to this. This has been going back. We've worked on this since 2018. Our nature emergency team. I got a list here of achievements that they've done over that time. I'm going to read them out and take the time to read them out if you bear with me, Madam Mayor. Local Places for Nature since 2020, and included the next round of funding taking up by the end of March 2027. BCBC has secured £2.252 million. Yes, that's right, Madam Mayor. £2.25 million, which that includes planting of trees, all various biodiversity projects. This delivers tens of thousands of trees and wildflowers and schemes across the county. This includes major schemes at Heelakew, Coitchurch, Playing Fields, Cairo Menshed, Blind Cairo Estate, and many more. We have 5 local nature reserves and has a core nature conservation budget. Over recent years, we have expanded Frog Pond Wood and declared Bedford Park a new local nature reserve. Not only is Bedford Park important as an LLR, it is home of the great crested newt, hazel dormouse, which are protected species. Through our core-funded tree management budget, we have created a new community woodland in Aberfields, planting over 10,000 trees, wildflowers in the area. We have recently secured over 800,000 funding for our One Common Connection project to improve biodiversity across the protected sites, to improve connectivity and habitat for hazel dormouse, marsh fertility butterflies, working in partnership with the NRW and Wildlife Trust and private landowners. Bridgend CBC led on the partnership project called Cwm Taff Nature Network that developed management and accessibility plans across Bridgend, RCT, Merthyr Tydfil, securing another 580k. Through the UK Shared Prosperity Fund, Bridgend has secured over 765k and delivered projects with local farmers to improve and re-establish hedgerows, to improve biodiversity connectivity. They have provided community funding to improve community gardens and provide birds and bat boxes. Through our actions, BCBC now has a dedicated invasive species officer, and we now have invasive species mapped across our land, across the county, and for the financial year we've added 110k. And to treat the high priority areas. Removing these invasive species help flora and fauna to re-establish and thrive. I support the amendment, Madam Mayor. Thank you very much.
You stopped just before I stopped you. Thank you very much. Councillor Ross Thomas,
Good time
please.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'm very happy to support the motion today and the amendment, which I actually think strengthens the motion. When you think about this county borough and Wales, moreover, we are home to a plethora of wildlife, greenery and nature which must be protected. Surveys show that younger people in society, 25 and under, believe that the climate emergency and the nature emergency are two of the biggest issues facing not just us here in Wales, but globally. It is an enormous threat to not just wildlife, but the way that we live and humanity in itself. My concern sometimes, and I will admit to having brought motions of this variety to the chamber in my time as a member, my concern is that sometimes it can ring hollow when you consider the capacity and the funding levers and the difficulties that local authorities have. However, I do fundamentally believe in supporting a nature emergency in the county borough, as many other authorities have, as the Welsh Government has. It can help focus minds when strategic decisions are being made by officers and by members. So that's why I support the motion today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Councillor Ian Williams, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just imploring this council to protect whatever habitat it already has and make sure it's protected for the long term. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Your comments are noted. Councillor Jane Gebby, please, and then Councillor Elaine Winstanley is the last speaker.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. It's just a point of clarity I'd like, please, from Councillor Williams. Did you refer to signing up to the Welsh Government declaration, please? If you could answer that for me, please.
Well, I said we'd declare a nature emergency.
We'd declare it. Just checking, because I thought that in SOC 3 in February this year, you actually all declared.
All right, just sign up to the nature emergency. We're currently aligned with the climate change emergency to Welsh Government, which went through scrutiny on Monday to the tune of 59.2 million by 2030. I am asking to protect whatever habitat we already have for future generations.
No,
and it says
Councillor
the motion
Williams,
moves.
Councillor Williams, I
This
think you're
motion moves.
I think you're misunderstanding
No, I'm
my
not.
question.
No,
yeah,
I'm not,
I think you
Councillor.
are, and I
Can I
would.
interject, please, and have clarification of Kelly, please?
The motion says.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The motion is as set out in the paper. So the motion is that the Council resolves to sign up to the nature emergency declared by the Welsh Government on 30th of June 2021 and considers the impact of all decisions made by this authority on the wildlife, nature and biodiversity within our borough.
Thank you very much, Kelly. I don't disagree with the spirit of the motion, Councillor Williams. I just want to make sure that we have governance in place to make those arrangements. And actually, we need to declare our own nature emergency because we can't sign up to Welsh governments irrespective of what they say. That's the only reason I'm questioning what is in the body of the motion. Thank you very much.
Thank
and
you.
I am quite surprised to see it here because it was in SOC and you've already made this declaration in SOC 3 in February of this year.
Thank you, Councillor Gebby. Councillor Elaine Winstanley, please, and she is the last speaker on this, please.
Thank you. I just wanted to mention some of the projects that we've had in Kennelly recently, whether that's planting a mini forest or planting community trees with the local places for nature, and how important it has been to get young people involved. And we had children from the local primary schools involved, and they were delighted in planting trees in the local area. Thank you.
Yes, I was part of that planting. My knees will never be the same. Thank you very much. I'll go on to item 9. Sorry. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Before myself. Seconder for this motion, please. And we are all in favour of the amendment? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you. Number 9, urgent items. I have no urgent items, so I will close the meeting. Thank you. 5:30. Madam Mayor, doesn't get